Remember last week when we told you we need to get more ceiling paint? And I need more ceiling paint. As it turns out, that problem is a little bit greater than we anticipated and not our fault at all. The ceiling paint that we were originally given wasn't tinted as we had requested to OC45 Swiss Coffee. Instead, it's just what comes in the can. Everything we have painted so far for the ceiling and that is now mounted in the ceiling is not the color we originally thought it would be. When we went to go pick up a new can of Swiss Coffee ceiling paint from Benjamin Moore, we were a bit alarmed to find out that it was the actual color that we had asked for in the first place. So what's already up here is not the right color, and the new panels that are painted for the front there are the right color, which means we now need to repaint this, but it's in the ceiling. It's 0 degrees and it has to be applied above 10 degrees. I don't think we want to take the panels out of the ceiling, so we're gonna have to be painting it like we would traditionally. And I think these lights are going to have to come out, although we're not sure how to do it without breaking them. So things are about to get a little bit more interesting this week. What we are going to do though is wait to paint these until we get the other two panels up here. You see, there is a seam here that is going to be visible that we're going to try and disguise by putting polyfill in it, priming it, and then painting over it. So when we do go to paint this over once it's been polyfilled, we are going to paint these two that are the wrong color. Rear windows were one of our #1 must-haves for purchasing this vehicle. There's just one small problem with how they come direct from the factory. Completely untinted. We'd rather try and look a little bit more stealthy and discreet. So today that's gonna change because we're off to go get these windows tinted.
Please hold for a very important message.
I am thrilled with how this tint turned out. Our vehicle looks so badass. We decided to go with 20% tint in the rear windows after talking about getting limo tint, just because we bought the vehicle specifically to have rear windows, so it kind of felt like it was defeating the purpose. We also decided to get a sun bar on our windshield, and I don't know why I thought this, but I felt that the sun bar would have some sort of fade to the bottom. This one doesn't. I really don't care. I love it. It helps block the sun a lot, so we may not even necessarily need to use visors when the sun is in our face anymore.
We did decide to go with a ceramic-based tint film, and the reason for this is it helps to deflect heat, which, you know, when we're talking about active heating and cooling and temperature control, this is just one extra measure that's gonna make it a little easier for us in the summer.
All right, what now?
More painting.
Our week just got a lot better with one delivery from the Purelator guy, and that's because he brought us our Lynac Lithium Iron Phosphate battery. This battery is huge, and we had the dimensions for it. We knew what was coming, but I am still surprised at the size of this battery. It's only like 35 kilograms maybe. It's not too bad for a battery that's rated for 240 amp hour. It's advertised as having 200 amp hours of capacity, and that's because Lynac does not suggest discharging this battery below 20% capacity. We are gonna have so much power in this van, I'm not even sure we're gonna know what to do with it. This means we can properly power an induction plate with 2 burners, but this is not the reason we're outside working today. We want to get the last 2 ceiling panels up so we can fix the painting mistake and then move on to other things. Not so bad, is it?
You're not gonna see these though when we're done because the ceiling's gonna meet just about here, so they'll all be disguised.
What next? Ceiling?
Gotta cut a hole.
Have you measured the hole?
But, hang on. I came prepared.
I'm not sure if you can tell on camera, but these 2 paint colors are quite different. The one on the right here is pretty much pure sealing white, and the one on the left is the Swiss coffee that we ordered. So we're gonna have to go over the sealing white and paint over it.
Luckily for us, the nice people at Benjamin Moore realized the mistake that they had made in not tinting our can of sealing paint, so they replaced it with a brand new can to use for what we had painted already the wrong shade of white. Thankfully, it's only half the van that needs to be painted, and we were going to have to paint there anyways because, well, it's time to polyfill.
Thankfully, what we wanted to get achieved today has been achieved. We have all 4 of the roof panels up. We haven't fixed the paint issue yet, but we need the van to be in 10 degrees or warmer weather for the paint to properly set. We're losing sunlight hours. That means we're gonna go inside, have dinner, and pick up this van build tomorrow. We've been lucky enough to be granted use of the warehouse today, where it is 12 degrees inside, 2 degrees warmer than we need to paint the roof of this van. But this wouldn't be a van build without running into more problems. And today's problem is that the polyfill on the ceiling is not 100% dry. Our main goal for the day was to get up 2 partition walls and start sheeting the side of the van. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the studs in so we can do that, while Kirsten is gonna sand over the polyfill that is dry. So maybe it'll be best if we show you a few more painting clips. I'm not gonna do that to you, but Kirsten does have to sand and I do have to put these studs up.
It's snowing polyfill.
We learned a valuable lesson today, not just about polyfill, but about using any type of product that you're not familiar with. Polyfill clearly states on the back that you need to apply it at 5 degrees Celsius or above, and we applied it at 0 degrees with a low of -5. So of course, 24 hours later, the polyfill is not set. It's still kind of like a putty material. Considering now that we are in a warehouse, we've run a space heater in the van, we're keeping the doors closed. We warmed up the polyfill to do another layer, and the application is going significantly better. So you know what? We made a mistake, but it's okay. These mistakes in van build are always fixable, because at the end of the day, this is just our project. But hopefully this will help you so that you don't make the same mistake we just did. I'm guessing no one on the internet has ever asked this question, but if you apply polyfill at under 5 degrees Celsius, then you pretty much end up with Play-Doh. And the stuff that we put in the cracks is like, not even Play-Doh, it kind of feels like pizza dough at this point. It's so soft. That is not what you want. Oh my goodness.
Well, it's safe to say we won't be doing that again.
This is like one of those things, I guess, where if you just do it right the first time, you don't have to like clean up this disaster. Hopefully we're laughing at this in like 2 months and not cursing ourselves, our former selves. We've spent the better part of the last 2 hours trying to peel back all that gunky, crappy polyfilla and trying to replace it with new polyfilla that's actually being applied at the proper temperature. However, we've actually run out of the polyfilla. It is Sunday at 3 p.m. Home Depot is still in a click and collect situation, and we are running out of options faster than the American president. We have placed our click and collect order at Home Depot, but I'm not getting the feeling that that's going to be ready for pickup today. So really all we got left to do is...
Somebody order sushi?
This van build thing can be really frustrating sometimes, especially when nothing goes right.
I should have read the instructions more clearly, but I presumed that it just meant it would take longer to dry, like most things. So I was wrong to assume, and I made an ass out of me.
Because you assumed?
Because I assumed.
So we eat our sorrows away with sushi.
And tofu curry, because it's semi-veganuary.
Kind of vegetanuary for us.
It's pescatanuary. This fan floor's lumpy right now.
Probably from all the polyfill we took off the ceiling.
Oh no, not the measuring tape!
I'm putting a couple extra studs up on the wall here just to make sure that these big vertical plywood panels have an extra place to mount closer to the floor so that it can't start rattling against the metal. Wood on metal is a horrible sound. It's not something that we want to deal with. And back making a very special guest appearance, one of my favorite tools that we've discovered in this van build, these Nylock nuts. Nylon threaded insert bolts designed to not move with vibrations. Life's good with Nylock. This is what the wall looks like after mounting the 3 smaller studs. They're not really meant for structural upgrades. Ultimately, they are just there to serve as an additional mounting point when we put the sheeting up. Well, I guess not everything went totally wrong in this video, because these pot lights proved to be really quite simple to take out, and they're also really simple to put back in. And I can finally install this 4th light. You gotta take the good with the bad sometimes, because things aren't just always gonna work out the way you want. This is starting to look good. It's coming together. It's just really slow moving and really frustrating when things just don't go your way. But life's all about how you deal with these situations, and we try to stay positive as much as possible.
It's been hard building a van in the winter. There's a lot of roadblocks, sunlight, and daytime hours that you can work. There's a lot less of them. Luckily, what we did yesterday is dry because it sat in a warehouse at 10 degrees. I've already started to sand some away, so if you see that I'm covered in dust already, it's because of that. Luckily, once we finish this step, I think we should be in the clear for things that need actual curing time. We've done all our painting inside for the most part, but given the state of the union of the ceiling, we're gonna have to paint it here in the warehouse. Use another cup of coffee. I'm starting to feel like my face is going to be permanently covered in sawdust. Oh man. Sanding's done. Time to put on another layer of polyfill. Hopefully this one goes better than the second layer last time. The van has become an absolute disaster today. All these tiny little bits of sandpaper everywhere because it keeps shredding on me from all the work we've done up there. I want to move on to something else, so it's time to take this good old can of sticks, which is primer. I just applied a little bit more polyfill back there, so that needs to dry before I can do anything.
That wraps up what was a fairly frustrating week for us at certain points, but the challenges are just getting started because next week we are going to be putting a Murphy bed into our van, or at least trying to. As always, a special thank you to our patrons for helping make videos like this possible, and we will see you in the next video.